Hello, hello, hello. You be nice to your brother. You be nice to your sister. So hello, hello. It's been a while, so hey. Continue. That could have been humbled, but he cocked his chin and grinned, so pleased with himself. That wasn't really anymore. Tamrock was too giddy to care or notice. Oh, that's like you showed her trash or something. But he's like, hi, I see something. And she's like, okay, what is it? And he's like, it's trash. I love you. Nope, nope. Stop. Stop. So yeah, thank you. Yeah, thanks, Q. It's cool. The little trio of you, Tamrock and Q stay together. Are they gonna get together and we'll be the third wheel? I want to see the cat. I'm gonna do this. Okay. Hello, 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 hello. Okay, we have to keep it like that. Okay. Stayed together, reunited over the desk while the room became more and more empty of anybody else. And after a while, besides you three, there was only a teacher left in the class. It was empty and quiet enough that you could hear the doorknob twist and click. That was all that happened though. You figured someone would come in. You checked behind you, the door was open a crack, and a person peeked through. From the teeny bitty, you could see the person was a kid, maybe a short grown-up. They were only half as tall as the door, and they were hiding behind. It definitely wasn't your mom come to get you. Miss Murray was still flipping through a million of paper, but she called out from her desk. It's okay. It's okay. You can come in. Class is over. The door got shoved all the way open and bumped into a wall after trying not to get noticed. Being called out that way made whoever it was confident. They stood in the doorway. They put their hands on their hips. The hair on their head was a helmet of sunshine, orange shining and flaming out rays everywhere. The person walked right in, looking at what they were saying. Is that her son? It wasn't the way you or Tamrock came into class. It was the way Q had, the way that someone who had been there before had. This wasn't this wasn't their classroom. None of the students you saw the whole day were this person in a new school and in a new town. You would have been more amazed. It was somebody you did know. Even though that was true, you almost thought you had met the stranger. The kid's soft brown eyes itched at your brain. You were sure you've seen those exact kind of eyes somewhere, maybe at your parents' meeting or whatever. It was especially hard to figure out when their gaze wasn't aimed at you. It's gone to the front where the teacher was. Oh, you remembered. Seeing the new kid in Miss Murray made you think of a matching card game you had to play in school when you were little. You just won by flipping the 4 identical chestnuts. The person with the eyes was like Miss Murray ran to her past the counting carpet behind the desk. They threw their arms around her legs in a hug, squeezing her knees together. It's our son. The teacher gently brushed the sunbeam strands until the kid tilted their head back to smile back at Miss Murray with a grin. Hi. Hello, Sir 7th grader. Did you have a good first day? Darren! Sir 7th grader Darren, or both, gasped and let go before smiling even wider. Cute! He darted out from the desk just like that. Miss Murray watched him go, rubbing at her at the spot on her pants that got squished. She was sure his mom, not only because they hugged or because of their eyes. Miss Murray wouldn't have let normal students get that way with not answering her question. And you were right. My mom is Joy, teacher. Darren's voice came out bright and loud and with a big laugh, though the sound was kind of crackly too. He had so much to express to the world, words couldn't barely keep it all together. Q's own sparkling giggles joined in. He opened his arm all the way out, not holding anything back. I know! When Darren crossed the room, he stuck his hand straight ahead, palm up. Q flipped his arm down and over to land a low 5 smack. It was a powerful hit, but they were still protected by a glove. Q shrugged, not feeling the sting. This year is going to be tough. Boys, inside voices, please. And personally, I say my lessons are fair. Right. Yeah, sorry, Miss Murray. Sorry, Mom. Darren lifted his fuzzy black earmuff off his head using hands covered in the fuzzy black glove. He was in this classroom to stay, and he was able to hear quieter words better without that too. This is the first time Darren noticed there was 2 more people in the classroom. This made his smile flatten. You expect you would see new kids today. Darren didn't think about that. He tried to figure out what to do, think, or feel now that it happened. Tamara skipped, saying who she was so she could jump right into Darren's face on her tippy toes. As far as kids went, Darren was tall, as Tamara was short. Mom? You say she's your mom? A teacher is your mom? It didn't matter that Q was talked about Miss Murray having kids before you got there, or that a lot of happened to show that Darren was definitely her son. Having the kid of a teacher in front of her was too unbelievable for Tamara. That made Darren decide what to think about this meeting. He didn't like it at all. his face, oh, he's gonna be a dick. His face soured, and he backed away from Tamarack without thinking, like a fluffy bumblebee come to get him. Tamarack didn't let him get far from her. You seem kind of shy. You'd probably be able to answer it if she didn't try to push it. Don't follow Darren like that. He was totally serious with the idea. It wasn't a rule, it was a law. And Tamarack listened to it better than if it came from an actual teacher. Oh. Tamarack deflated to stand like a normal again and stop peering towards Darren. He didn't stop staring at her. Darren was too, okay, maybe not a dick. Darren was too afraid of what she might do next to look away. The whole thing made Q sigh. It was an accident though, because he sucked in another breath super fast after. Then he smiled again like it never happened. Hey! Hey! Everybody got to meet each other for real now. We do? Yeah, we do. He used his tiptoes, smoothly twirled around to shift from Tamarack's side to Darren's. This is Mr. Darren Murray. Q hooked an arm around Darren's stiff shoulder. The warm embrace got Darren all soft. He muttered over Autumn, and their heads bumped together. Those two were close as could be. And he's my friend. And 2 years older than I. Autumn probably put up a peace sign that probably meant to. Remember that road right out of remember that road out from our cul-de-sac? Darren lives there. His house is the yellow one with the dark brown fence. We're almost neighbors. That's how we know each other. Yeah, the big hill. I know it. You passed a lot of homes and on your way to school. You guessed people had lived in them, but you always figured you'd meet a person before seeing where they lived. It was kind of weird thinking you'd gone by this place before you even knew who Mr. Darren was. Q touched his face so his nose. Q touched his face so he was nose to nose with the boy down the street. That's why I gotta tell you, these are my new neighbors. But both of them, I thought the only one kid was coming. The poor boy was more confused than ever. Tamarack could shock people even when she didn't try to. Q came to the rescue, his arms flew off Darren's shoulder to pat him soothingly on the back instead. Both of them. Autumn used his other hand to nudge a finger towards the girl of many surprises, and that is Miss Tamarack Bauman. Granny is our actual grandma. She lives in the gray house now. Darren listened to his friend's wisdom, amazed. And that, like the tiny showman in front of an audience with one person in it, Q uncurled his finger and held his open palm towards you. It is Miss Taylor Sweet. She's a girl. She's the one who moved in that empty middle house with her mom. I met Taylor and then Tamara both yesterday. In the real world, Darren had to look down to see Q. It was plain fact. He had to look down on every kid in your age. But the shine of his dipped eyes, you could be tricked into thinking Darren was looking up at Autumn. That's how much older the older boys admired the young ones. The light went away when Darren glanced at the two people Q had introduced. All that was there was an uncomfortable skepticism. Okay, what? Hi, Dan. You're pretty sure that there's nothing weird about what you did, but Darren squinched his face at the attention. Hi. Q chuckled at that, playfully shoving his pal in the chest. Tamara flapped a hand wave in a wave. It beat like a buzzing wing of a bee. She kept being like that around Darren, but you didn't think it was on purpose. Hi, Darren. His features stayed squished. The awkward way Darren was with people still didn't get Tamara to back off or to slow down. She had thoughts that needed to be said. You're both wearing orange sweaters. Tamara stopped her fluttering by clasping her hands together over this important revelation. Darren curled his finger too, gripping tight around the ear muff that he was still holding. She hadn't said it teasingly, not even a silly kind of teasing. Q did, but he was still bothered by it for some reason. Yeah, we both like orange. Okay, stop being a dick. It was a short answer and a very serious one. The whole time Darren hadn't said one word in response to Tamara until now. Not when she asked about his mom or saying hi. Talking about the same colors, though, couldn't be ignored. Orange is good. One of the top colors. You cut into what was going on, nodding wisely. But do you know my favorite color is? How would I know? 'Cause it's pretty obvious. Wait, do we have to guess? For the second time, he gestured over Tamara, but not any part of her. Autumn pointed towards her mop of sparkly hair. It's golden, the best color there is. You smooth talker. It's cool to learn Q's favorite color. Oh, we can be jealous. Good thing he said so, knowing your friend's favorite color was important. Yeah. Cool. We're getting to know each other. Oh, my favorite colors are purple, pink, red, yellow, and orange. That's a lot of favorites. It's probably about half the colors there are, but alright. Wait, and also every color Taylor likes is my favorite too. Oh my god. Okay, which one should I do? appreciate you. Compared to Tamarack shouting, Darren responded with a peep. He still didn't want to talk to her, but misunderstandings about color ranking couldn't be made either. Red is my real favorite. Orange is still cool. At that point, everyone had talked about the colors they liked except you. What colors we thought they were? Blue and red, black, and white. Oh shit, fuck! That's all of them. Q took out his trusty notebook out of his pocket. A pencil came. He flickered with the pages open and began to scribble right there in the middle of the room during a conversation with people. Why are you doing this? School is over. I'm writing down your favorite colors. I want to remember that. The question was answered, and it completely confused her. It made sense to you that she didn't get it. Tamarack didn't write stuff down even when class was happening. Okay. A yelp cut her off. Planned reaction, confused by the abnormal things and confusing normal people. That was Tamarack. You're using your other hand. The left one? Yep, that's my good hand. Wow. Tamarack ran out of the woods to blurt out, and Darren didn't want to do anything on his own, not with you either. It had to be Q. Dang, dude, come on. You're like 2 grades up. Stop being like that. I'm like a 3rd grader or something. I'm like, yeah. So the 3 of you waited there until a scritchy scratch sound of Q's writing went on. The more letters Q added to his notebook, the more friend shifted uncomfortably. Hey Adam, you're coming to my house today, right? Yeah, I am. And the 3rd quick and direct answer Q gave while busy with his task, but it had a big impact on Darren. He smiled relieved. The promise made up for all the stuff Darren hadn't enjoyed since he walked into the classroom and had 2 new people become a little part of his life. Making long dashes across the paper, probably underlined something, Q finished off his note to himself and replied to Darren. Now Tay and Tamarack are here. I gotta make sure they get to the neighborhood, but I can do that and go to your house. The worn brown book and pencils were tucked into Q's pocket. He didn't watch what he was doing, you did, and this time no papers fell out. After how many pages he lost? Maybe 2 or 3. You were kind of impressed he managed to use that notebook without leaving stuff behind him. It's not going to just be me and Darren, you know. One more is coming. We got plans, and it's been worked out for weeks that we get together the first day of school. You had people to see that afternoon, kids other than you. It was alright because you were sure there'd be time for you and Q to hang out later. He wouldn't completely forget about you. Thinking about this way, Darren was sort of like you. He was from HQ2 and didn't want any changes. Didn't want changes to change that. There was a room for all of you. And because of that, Darren, can you get the guy who's going to be standing there around outside not knowing where to go? You can bring him right to this room. Darren sunk his neck deeper into the tall collar that surrounded it, trying not to be called on in class after it was too late. I don't wanna. His voice had gotten even more raspy when he spoke to him. Every bit of Darren protested the idea. Oh, come on, you're the fastest out of everyone. Q, on the other hand, was bold and brave. He sincerely sung Darren's praises to encourage his friend, though more quietly added a verse of his own success. With running anyway, on bike I'm the best. Did you know that I got a mountain bike? It's silver paint splatters, and the tires have these big threads. It's so fast you'll be amazed. But besides, we both can't go. Tamarack and Taylor are here. Do you want to stay with them by yourself while I get them? Darren's eyes closed and he grimaced. If he was looking, he wouldn't have been able to stop himself from pointing at you and Tamarack. You could tell that's where his not seeing face turned. And he didn't want to do that either. If he couldn't even handle seeing both of you too closely, staying alone with you and Tamarack, he didn't seem achievable for Darren. You knew it. I'll go. He placed his muff back on his head, and if he was donning armor before battle, resigned but resolute. Cool, see you. Yeah, bye. Bye. As Darren sprinted through the door, you doubted he'd be following the no running in the hall rule. Miss Murray was still reading over her teacher stuff, so she didn't put a stop to it, but Darren should have followed them even if no one was watching. Tamarack's focus was set on the action when that was over and even Darren's bright white vest couldn't be seen, she snapped her gaze towards Q. She was eager, ready to learn more about the boy whose name hadn't been even said yet. Didn't he say it? He introduced them, so she wasn't listening. In the school, the friends, and everything, Tamarack wanted an answer. Another kid. Q began telling you about his friend, even though no one asked anything about him. Your and Tamarack's faces had been enough to get Q going. This kid you're gonna meet isn't like any other kid. He's mature. What do you mean by that? Like he's a teenager or something? What are you talking about? Mature rolled off Q's tongue slowly, importantly, and with a fake accent. He didn't know what kind, but when he thought about that a little longer, Q much more quickly added some more detail. Well, and not mature actually, about some stuff. Not everyone likes him, but I do, and you might too. Oh, guess what? He doesn't go to our school and Darren's school. He goes to a totally different one that costs money because it's for rich people. Those are actually real. Or like posh, he's gonna be like stuck up. But you figured what accent Q had been doing, a wealthy person's accent from one of those movies with millionaires. What? Really? Does he have to wear a uniform? No, but they have strict dress codes. He's gotta wear a button-collared shirt and stuff. Ew. Neither Q or Tamrock were sure what to say next. You were the same. The three of you glanced from one face to the other, expression flitted between encouraging smiles and curious peering, until eventually the door flung open and Darren hadn't stopped to check if it was okay. That time he had a job to do, and it had been a job well done. Darren wasn't alone. Oh, for his cousin or something? The entrance was a funny scene. Behind Darren's striking colors, the intense steps was the new boy. The stranger came along, unconcerned, dressed in muted tones. The save. Yes. We hadn't saved in for long, like more than 30. Their entrance was a funny thing. Oh yeah, we already did this. His hair color almost could have been black, though dark gray was probably more right. He had black pants that didn't match perfectly with the shade on his head. But there was something about him that made him strong, that made a strong impression. Tamrock, Q, and Darren had lots of energy, rated out all around them. This boy didn't have a spirit in his hand, legs, or body. The fire was concentrated. His fire was concentrated, all in the dark brown eyes. Whatever he looked at came against the total force of his being. It made him unignorable. Oh, shit, no! And that part of him was so noticeable that it took you a minute to see that he had a birthmark on his neck. That little dot. Okay, it's that little dot on his neck, and his smile, and that his smile was actually a smirk. You were not disappointed on who his other friend was actually. This was more intriguing than you'd ever imagine. All your thinking was cut off by a shot from Autumn. Along with that, he punched a fist into the air, welcoming his returning champion, and found the prince. Yeah, you made it! Darren and the boy Bright had given impressions of opposite when they first arrived, and what they had in common became clearer when they smiled the very same way at the reunion. They both liked the other one of them. They both liked Q, and that's all that mattered. A lot of people. The two went straight to Q's side, Darren on his left and the other on his right. The formation of the trio was perfectly smooth. All of them were already aware of where they stood in the group. So this is my friend. He's cool as long as you tell him when he's being dumb. The boy had the most collected person you'd seen in town, besides the teacher, and Q just called him dumb as soon as he got there. It was kind of incredible. But Q didn't mean that in a mean way. The new arrival hadn't even blinked when Q had said that. Hugh, they were friends, and the insult expressed as much affection as the hug Hugh and Darren had shared. Hello, it's nice to meet you. My name is Baxter. Baxter greeted Hugh and Tamara casually. It was effortless for him to say polite things, though they didn't come from a lot of meaning behind them. Darren was 12, and he was taller than all his friends, but you could believe he wasn't that old until Hugh said so. Nobody needed to tell you Baxter was older than you. No one had told you, but you still knew. More than any kid, Baxter reminded you of teenagers. One who thought they were smarter than not only anyone younger, but adults too. He had the kind of unquestionable confidence. Even the way he stood there looked more grown up than everyone else. That's right. Hugh put on a snooty voice again and did a courtesy to show his mock respect to whoever the boy was that he was about to introduce. He is Baxter Ward, Mr. Baxter Ward, the oldest one of us all. You knew it. Meanwhile, Hugh dropped his accent because he wasn't talking about Baxter anymore. And this is Miss Taylor Sweet and Miss Tamarack Bowman. Okay. You can be a total yandere in this game. Hello! One corner of Baxter's mouth was already up. It had always been up, but he lifted the other end too. He could properly smile at you. Hi! Tamarack's normal bubbleness popped right after she said hello. Are you actually rich? You can't just say that, she said doubtfully, with her hands on her hip and her face tilted intensely. It added more to her wondering than she actually said. What would a rich person be doing here? Shouldn't he be doing something else? Something kids like you and her weren't doing? You tried to imagine what the other thing might be. Maybe sitting at the head of the table longer than this whole room, dancing in the shining ballroom wider than your house. Darren's face twisted in the center, tightening around the edges. He wanted to laugh and wanted to stop himself from doing so. Yes. Baxter said he was a rich kid as plainly if you asked him if it was a Monday or if he had a hat on his head. He can prove it too. Baxter lives in a huge mansion high up on the mountain. He does? He does. Suddenly the tables in the ballroom of your fantasy felt a little bit more real. Having the huge mansion come up without him needing to say so is so curbed. Baxter smiled more than it already was. He didn't have to brag. His house spoke for himself. Or for itself. Or rather, the house Autumn got to speak for. And that was the best brag of them all. If I like the two of you, maybe you get to visit. If I like you, his words shot up in a pitch and rang with humor. He threw his hands out in disbelief and had to be careful not to hit one of the multiple people hanging around the room. Baxter, you show it to anyone who comes by. You knocked Baxter's arms off his elbow, but that was on purpose. a little friendly nudge to go along with the rest of his lighthearted jab, his smile beaming at Dexter, his eyes dancing towards you and Tamrock. Q declared, his stuffiest voice a reply to that. To Q, a more accurate picture. Yes, comes in my big cool house. Why, I would even have it if no one was gonna see it and think it was big and cool. That's him. Autumn needed a pause to steady himself before he finished what he was talking about. But it is a really cool house. I would show it off if it was mine. Q had to be honest about his friends and himself. It was flattering, and when it wasn't, and ended his show generously. Baxter said nothing. He didn't curve a laugh. He just glided a knuckle across along the edges of his swoopy bangs. The strands curved with the emotion, then slipped right back into their normal resting spot. The smirk didn't drop out of place either. With so much not being different, it was easy to tell that his cheek turned pink. Okay, I'm just studying my words. Maybe I'm not talking that well. Okay. La 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 la. I need to start reading more so I don't be like. Q had sort of made fun of Baxter, even if it was a joke. If Baxter was gonna blush, you would have thought he'd be embarrassed because of the teasing. But no matter how you looked at it, nothing about the older kid's expression was shy or uncomfortable. He was as calm as ever. Maybe a little happier than before, actually. Anyways, Baxter's introduction was over. Hugh had decided it. Now that everyone's here, I got something very important to say. Though he said everybody, Hugh's attention was squarely on you and Tamrock. There was a pummelet mixed up pause and dramatic together. A pause for a dramatic effect as Q smiled knowingly. Taylor and Tamrock, I here invite you to join our club. Oh, he's not gonna like that. What? Darren shouted like Q just announced that he was getting married next week at 10 years old. Not so loud, please. A gently scolding that was way more startling than Darren's yelp. You have forgotten Mary was still at her desk. She was quiet, so quiet and so much like a teacher. She fit as naturally in a room that as the whiteboard or globe. Things that were there and should be there, but you didn't think about while you got a reminder Baxter had never even known. Oh, hello, Miss Murray. Nice to see you, Baxter. Darren zipped his lip. He had to settle for slightly pinching his brows and pouting. Q was definitely the leader of that pack. Wasn't gonna let his words on this decision be questioned. He folded his arm in disapproval. First his mom, then his friends. Darren wasn't having the best moment. Autumn couldn't stay firm long though. Instead, he thought of his club and smiled. Me and Baxter and Darren are a group. We go around having fun. We're practically famous in this town. Yeah, me, you, and Baxter do. Partly informing, not yelling, Darren pointed out the members again as it meant something. Those are girls. You should stop with the cootie thing. Really. That's not that like fourth grade. You're like in seventh. Darren's glance flicked at you, then Tamara for a single second. So it did mean something to him that after this whole time with Darren acting so weird with you and Tamara, you heard why. He was a boy who didn't play with girls. He is in 7th grade. It's a boys' club. Boy, you need to knock it off. Darren gestured around the semicircle of kids to bring attention to the boyness of this collection. How can we be a boys' club if we're all not boys? He whined in a whisper, even if you and Tamara and Baxter was right there. Darren was trying to keep this conversation between him and Q alone. Unfortunately, it was Autumn he was talking to, and Q made extra effort to include the two of you. He freely giggled at the problem he'd been presented. Darren, your mom's a teacher, and guess what? Q let it look over his shoulder towards his possible new groupmate. And his dad, he's also a teacher at a different school. With a slow shake of his head, Q smugly chided in his friend. And you don't even know problem solving? Listen, okay. So I'm a boy and this is my club. That means it's a boys' club. What's the issue with that? He didn't get an answer, though Q didn't expect to. Darren could only gawk at if he was witnessing a magic trick. Q had taken a black card from Darren into his fingerless gloved hand. When he revealed it again, it transformed into a red king. He wondered if Q was the sorcerer all along, and only said you were wanting to cover it for himself. He had a way with words and with people. You and Tamarack knew there wasn't what gave Q an advantage. He was like that no matter what. Baxter chuckled and pleased the audience member of the event. Then he shrugged with his hands in his pocket. I don't mind if they tag along, as long as they can keep up. Great! Baxter's agreement was given directly, and Q took Darren's acceptance of his idea as a sure thing, even if he hadn't exactly gotten there yet. He expected you and Tamarack to see this too and put the choice of words in your hand. This was the only question. So, what do you think? No thanks. I don't want to. For all the cute speech of the conversation, richly and equally amazed how simply Tamarack could have defeated them with us simply by not taking interest in saying so. Darren suddenly frowned more. He never wanted her, but she was offended she didn't want him to. Baxter only smirked harder. He already had friends, but being turned away by surgery didn't make a difference. He was disappointed by Tamarack not considering it and his friends' unwelcoming attitudes. No one seemed to care like he cared. I'm going to. even if when he tried his best to get everyone to get along. Okay, but I am joining. His expression was unhappy enough for Tamarack to realize the shock and impact she had. Thanks for inviting me. I like you, Kia, but I'm not sure about I'm not sure I like the other kids. Two bewildered snorts and one laugh followed the attempt at comfort. Baxter was the one who laughed. Thanks, Tay. That was all it took to begin turning things around. Q's smile grew as Baxter shrunk to a friendlier size. Even Tamara seemed to second guess her answers now that you were going to be in the fold. That's one new member. It's alright, and it's alright if you don't want to join, Tamara, but you probably regret it for the rest of your life if you don't. It's the coolest club there is. And Tamara, don't listen to Darren. I'm sorry he said that about you being girls in our group and that being bad. Darren's gaze fell guiltily and he didn't finish whatever he was going to say. He may have not wanted you and Tamara to join, but you did. Being the reason it didn't work out was an unintentional betrayal of his friendship. Darren does not know how to talk to girls or how to act around them. I can see that. And I think the only ladies you can say around 10 words are his mom and Tamar's granny. Kill! Adam tossed his hand up, completely unapologetic. You thought of a phrase you heard your mom use. Don't shoot the messenger. I don't know. That's what I noticed. But it doesn't matter anyway. You can't live your life like this. You're a big kid, Darren. What if Tamara and Taylor looked up to you because you're so much older and wiser? Are you not even going to be able to say hi to them? I said hi, didn't I? You said hi to Taylor, not Tamara. She greeted you. But she was too close, I know. But how about you say hello right now? It's not too late. Yeah. Tamara instantly ran for that idea. She glanced up towards Darren's eyes, grinning expectantly and swishing her shoulders side to side. Say hi! It was hard to tell if she didn't realize she was giving Darren a hard time and that it was more to him than a normal hello, if that was the whole plan. But either way, Darren could do nothing except stare hard at Tamar's smooth jig. Gee, this is quite embarrassing. Yeah, it is. For you. You can't even treat girls like that because they're girls. Ooh, you can chowder. Darren groaned through his clenched teeth. Hugh, Darren, and Tamara, not one of them were budging until a low voice came from the area around Darren. It wasn't actually like him, it was behind him. Hello, I think your scarf is so nice, Tamara. Hello, Taylor, you have great shoes. What? He pretended to be him. Darren couldn't stay quiet for long. His mom had given up on reminding him. I hoped you like my EMF too. Darren spun around in a flurry, but the perpetrator had already breathed back to the accused's other side. Baxter stood there, self-satisfied and silent, like he's been in the whole conversation. He may have not seen it with his own eyes, but Darren knew it was Baxter. He had a pretty distinct voice, and it wasn't as if anyone else could have done it. It was a pleasing answer to Tamarack's ear. No matter who said it, she giggled as she toyed with her noise scarf. Do you really think that? The real Darren turned away, uncomfortable, and with a face pinker than the accessory in question. Baxter, you're hilarious. Baxter continued his statue act. Still, he's comfortable, closed eyes, as if to say, "Why, thank you, you guys." She had lost hold of the situation. She viewed it from the outside, the same as you might have done it while watching toddlers come around a playground. I know I don't invite you just to any group. That reminder meant for Darren. He sent an explanation. Your and Tamarack's way next. Before, it was me and Darren. Since we were babies in a couple of years, there was Baxter. It's only been 3 of us since until right now. Yeah, it has been, so why do they have to be part of the club? It's good you asked. Hilda broke into my backyard accidentally because she was on a crazy investigation about a paper airplane. And the day she got here a day ago, and she's already looking out for me. Normally, I'm the one doing that. And Tamarack was the one who made a paper airplane for a stranger because it would be fun. What's not to like about that? Lastly, the 3 of us are all neighbors. That's gotta count for something. Even if it doesn't, what were you thinking we'd do? Run away from them when me, you, and Baxter are in the cul-de-sac? Try to make Tamarack and Taylor leave their own street? No, we should be friends and hang out together. It makes no sense not to let them join the club. His speech roused Tamarack. Her fists were clenched and her expression was full of vigor, but you were sure she wasn't inspired to join Shoe's club. It strengthened your bond as neighbors, and it made her flimsy connection to Darren and Baxter more obvious. Darren's worthless put extra space between him and the shaken girl. Baxter smiled at Q, supporting his friends while totally indifferent to the result of effort. When it came to yourself, Q's description of what he thought you should be a member. Made you smile. He was always nice to you. Q got a sense of his audience mixed reaction instead of a full house roaring with an applause. It was more like seeing mostly empty theater with one person clapping in the back row. You worked with it. Well, they haven't been here for long, and I know them better than you 2 guys know them, and that's the same goes for Taylor and Tamarack. They know me better than either of you. It's different for me. I like all 4 of you. Tamarack can join later, and you don't have to be an official member to do stuff with us. I'm just letting you know what's up. A lot of things bother Darren, and he showed it. Baxter so far took up everything like it was nothing. Q went up, and he went down, but always tried to get back up by the end. This was a boys' club. She was still cute, and that Darren kid was okay. Also, Dexter was great. And now you're mostly part of the club Q wanted you to be. You wanted to be, and that was the main deciding factor. The tap-tap sound marked at the end of the meeting. It made you think of a hammer hitting the podium in a very important and official gathering of the offering. It was actually Miss Murray as she straightened her paper up against her desktop. Your teacher placed them down in a neat pile as she rose to her feet. It's time to go, everyone. I'm leaving, and I can't let you stay here alone. Am I giving anyone here a ride? Her gaze was squarely on Q and Baxter with that question. Or would you like me to call your families? It was you and Tamrock that looked with that one. The first kid was ready with the answer. It was Tamrock. She yelled out with no hesitation. I'm okay. Following after Tamrock, though definitely not talking to her, piped Darren. He and his friends were already had plans, but he sheepishly looked at his mom for permission to go through with it. Q and Baxter can come with us, can't they? Right off she nodded. Their son smiled, relaxed. Miss Murray held up one finger and added a note before anyone got ahead of himself. They can't stay all night, but I need to take both of them home before dinner. All right. Thank you for letting us visit. Yeah, thanks. What about you, Tay? I'm fine. That's good. Dad, come to my house. No! Tamrock pumped her arms like the dark blue carpet was water underfoot and she needed to roll in the indoor pond. We can walk back together. On your own? No, together. And you can meet Omi and Opa when we get there. I have to ask my mom. Yeah. All right. Well, how about we finish packing now? On it. As the teacher suggested you gathering outdoor clothes, checking inside on the desk, and looking throughout the bag to see the most important possessions were still in there, was all done. Not a single glove would be missing or one pencil out of place if Miss Murray could help it. During the final sweep of the room, there was an eager knock on the door. It's her husband! Who is this? Miss Murray took long strides, reaching the door far sooner than any other students could. When it opened, you saw your mom framed by a dozen of paper leaves taped around the frame. It was great. She could see you. Hi, I'm going to assume that you're Miss Murray? Yes, but Shannon's fine. And you're Miss Sweet? Right as well. I'm Opal. Taylor is my daughter. It's a pleasure to meet you. Thank you for coming to pick up Taylor. You stopped listening in on their conversation as the two grown-ups chatted about each other and a little view. Darren wasn't as polite. He sighed at the continuation of their adult greeting. Maybe he thought that stuff was boring stuff. Oh my goodness. Last sub. Okay. Return to game. Hugh snickered softly while giving Darren a small shove with his shoulder. It brought some liveliness back and Darren got Darren to smile. Mom noticed the clutter of kids, then her eyes fell onto you and a conversation with the teacher stopped. Taylor, I made it, and hello, Q. Hi, Mom. Hi. She strolled further into the room to join you, but Miss Murray stayed at the door. Who's the rest of this fun bunch? Mom asked wonderingly, glancing across the face of the three other kids who were still there. Class was long over and you were too closely gathered for it to be random people who don't be biting my feet. Well, she's not biting, she's doing stuff. I don't know what she's doing. She's like, stop it. She don't like me rubbing. I was stretching my feet and she's on my bed. And I'm like, I saw her back. I was like, ah. I'm moving my feet. I'm doing a bit of legging. I'm moving this. Okay, class was long over and you were too closely gathered for it to be random people who happened to be in the same place. Why'd you all come together was a great interest to your mom. The two of the people were cute friends, one of your seatmates and one of your neighbors and one your friend. And it was her, as usual, who shot a reply. Tamara never took long to think what she wanted to say, and that was always so far ahead of everyone's words. You're Taylor's mom? Wow! You look like her mom. Thank you. Some bits of me did end up in there. She wish she didn't. Yeah, thanks. A playful smile tugged at your mom's mouth. Tamara felt inspired to have more curiosity satisfied. Does your dad look the same too? Taylor is like him in certain ways. Her smile dropped, but Mom had a reply for questions ready before you even heard it. But our family is her and me. It's always been. He won't come by to visit. She was telling Tamara the truth. Tamara wasn't gonna see him. You hadn't even met him. You know, been told stuff about him when you were younger. Mom said what race and nationalities were, and hers too. So that way you could know your own history. You didn't care though. And that's all you cared about. At the same time, your mom explained how having you in the first place worked. She didn't have a husband or a boyfriend or anything, but she wanted a kid, so she had you. Mom talked about how you didn't need an entire person to have a baby. It only took a small part. She was able to get that from a special hospital. Ooh, the, whatever it's called, I can't remember. like a donation, seed donation. It was kind of confusing, but you were able to understand whoever your dad was. He wasn't your parent. He was a guy that mom didn't know and that you didn't know. Like it was just the two of you. Someone else would have gotten in the way of everything. Your mom was already the best. Oh, okay. Sorry. Frowning, Tamara pinched and pulled the frayed edge of her sweater sleeves. One finger slipped through a tiny hole in the cuff. It was going to even rip even more doing that. That might have been why it was torn in the first place. It's fine. You didn't know. Now you do. There was a lot of not knowing for her and you, but you did recognize the tone your mom was using on Tamrock. Below, with the extra emphasis, bent to the words it meant, I'm not mad this time, 'cause it won't happen again. Isn't that right? Tamrock gave a tiny nod, stretching the strap of her sleeve all the way past the tips of her finger on her free hand. I mean, she didn't know it. She was like a little bit too excited. The conversation had been dominated by Tamrock, but still hanging around was the boys' club. They could hear everything said about your family. You tried to figure out their reaction. She was still, besides shifting narrow gaze between friends on his left and the one on his right. Suddenly he seemed like a teacher in the classroom, keeping a stern eye on the students for any sign of trouble. The two of them were on their best behavior, quiet and blank-faced. When Q realized you were watching, he became the regular Autumn again, grinning widely. Well, it's good to meet you, Tamrock. That dropped Tamrock's jaw. Then she was certain she hadn't said her name yet. You knew me? Not for sure, but I thought you looked like you'd be our neighbor, Tamrock. Not bashful, Tamrock hid her face with her hands, and the sweater was finally released from her squeezing grip. While she wasn't looking, Mom gave you a sneaky wink. You told her enough about her yesterday to figure out. What about everyone else? The question was kind of forced, and there was still an awkward feeling left behind after Tamrock bringing up your dad you never met. And that was something they were going to figure out sooner or later. After all, it was kind of good that it got settled with everybody at once. Baxter took the initiative, properly introducing himself. My name is Baxter. I don't go to the school. I attend Jarrett Witt Academy. You do? That's quite impressive. Thank you. You are starting to think you can feel uncomfortable, even if he wanted to. He was just a cool cucumber that so much that he got stuck that way. Like if you made a weird face too long. Except you were pretty sure adults were lying when they said that could happen. He got the conversation to change though. Your mom was more at ease and gave a purposely look at the only kid that hadn't spoke yet. And you are? I'm Darren. That's my mom. Darren couldn't meet her eyes. Instead, he stared off at his shoes and limply lifted an arm towards the door. Miss Murray was leaning against the wall there, her arms patiently folded. The mom shifted her shape between the groups of students and the teacher with a big smile as a mom, she liked seeing other parents with their kids. It was fun for her, you guess. It's nice to meet you too, Darren. His cheeks puffed out like a frog. It was so fast and unexpected. Mom laughed. She usually did not like laugh. She usually did not like to like laughing at other people's kids or adults, not unless they were telling a joke. She laughed at everyone's jokes, even if they were funny. Your mom pressed her palm against her chest and breathed in through her nose to steady herself. You've barely been here 2 days, and I already need almost a full hand to count all the acquaintance you have. You worked fast. She tilted your way, raising one brow. Are you ready to go? God. Mom, me and Tamarack were wondering if she could come with us. Certainly, I'd be happy to bring her back. Mom stayed put beside that agreement. She was unsure not about you and Tamarack, but the other 3 kids who were left. And that was when Miss Murray got off her perch and came to stand by her son. I'm driving Darren, Q, and Baxter to my house. I'll call the boys' parents to let them know. It seems you all arranged everything. You got your bags already too. We should really be going. Have a good day, boys. While parting small and gestured of our hands to follow, Mom turned and walked away. See you, everybody. Q and Baxter said bye. As the 3 of you were leaving a wave, Darren only looked at the group of girls, at the big group of girls. Bye, Q, bye, Darren, bye, Baxter, bye, teacher. She shouted over her shoulder as sticking close to you and Mom. After that yell, Tamarack whispered just to you. Sorry again. It's okay. Mom held the door open for you and Tamarack to trot by, then she followed you out. The first day of school was over. You took the exact same path that you come in, just gone the opposite way, down the stairs, through the checkered hall, and out the big double doors in the front. But when you were outside, the way home changed. You had to go almost through an open, almost empty parking lot at the side of the school building. Mom had brought the car to come get you. Wispy clouds hung over to your group of 3. Nobody was let out. They already gone home, or were probably teachers who were still in the classroom. Tamarack ran freely across the tarmac. It was easy to figure out which car to go to when nobody else was parked anywhere close by. You and your mom strolled side by side until you joined Tamarack by the vehicle. When she unlocked it, Mom opened the back side door. You were too little to sit in the front, according to her. Meaning Tamarack was be too small. She was practically the same size as you. But you found out Tamarack didn't really want to sit there. She liked the middle. It was funny how round and weird she was. She liked being able to see up to the front easily. Both of you were buckled and Mom got into the driver's seat. Tamarack told you about how she poked her Omi or Opa from that spot all the time. Even though neither of them were in that car, she was happy to choose middle anyway. It didn't make sense. Yeah, after Mom double-checked that everyone had their seatbelt on, she pulled out of the school lot. You jiggled firm cushion, cause all of the vibration of the car, The seatbelt wasn't just as good for crashes. It could stop you from slipping out of your seat on a bumpy road. It was, I wonder if we were taller, we'd get a different scene here. It was quiet besides the humming sound that also came from the way the car moved. The world looked different from the back seat of the car. A blur of gold, browns, red flitted out of the corner of your eye. From what you could see ahead, there was an endless stream of blue coming at you. Then it all slowed down. You could see individual trees, each of their branches and the leaves had fallen. The sky seemed more solid. Your neighborhood was already at reach. It had been a whole journey. In the morning, walking with Q and Tamarack, and that trip was only took a few minutes. Driving with Mom and Tamarack again. Mom parked at the end of the road, right in front of your house. There wasn't a garage to use, but it didn't really matter if you parked on the street. You couldn't block the path if you can block a path if it didn't go anywhere. You heard Tamarack got up and stood around together on the sidewalk. Thanks for driving, Taylor's mom. You can come to my house now. A lot had happened since she talked about that in the classroom. Still, Tamarack hadn't forgotten the plan she made. A visit to the Bowman's household. Am I invited too? That's right, your mom hadn't been there when Tamarack had come up with what to do after school. It was funny to see Mom ask for permission to go to somebody's place, but she was the person who was supposed to decide if it was okay to do something or not. But she was nice. Yeah, thank you. I've been hoping to meet the rest of the neighbors, but I waited for Taylor to be here before making the rounds. Lead the way, Tamarack. Tamarack would have tried to do that even if Mom didn't ask her to. The wannabe leader spun around to change direction. And marched down the sidewalk towards the big gray house next to yours. There was no way you let her take lead. You stuck right by her while your mom went along after you both. As Tamarack got closer, her pace got faster, and a steady strut had turned into a speedy skip by the time she reached the porch. She was eager to get home, or wanted to make sure she arrived there first. It caught you off guard, and she pulled ahead. Tamarack smacked the doorbell, held it all the way down with her whole hand. It wasn't the doorbell you had to press over and over to get it to work. As long as she pressed it, a deep chime rung the walls. Ding dong, ding dong, on and on. Tamarack squeezed the doorbell into her tiny hands. It wasn't going to stop. Your mom acted like the parent she was and spoke down to the other kids in a reassuring voice. I think it's okay. You can let go. Mom understood the appropriate behaviors in the grown-up world better than any elementary schooler could, and that wasn't it. But it was all suggestions. Got the same knowing assurance right back. No, it's okay. Wait, Ummy's asleep. We'll be trapped outside forever. Tamarack was an adult, but it was her house and she knew the rules. And for all you knew, she might have gotten to make up her rules herself. Maybe, but While your mom softly urged Tamrock to free the crushed button, the bell kept going and the door opened. Your nose realized that it hadn't happened before, even before your nose realized it had happened before even your eyes could. And it had gotten blasted with a perfumy scenty smell so fast that a human-sized spray of air freshener went off. Oh, looking young! She looks like a normal, 30, 40-year-old. Unless her mom was younger. The person who answered the door non-stop call of the bell was a lady with long, pale, blonde hair. Looked silverish, going almost all the way down her back. Her nose was tiny. That must have been how she lived in the smelliness. She was smiled gently. Just about every part of her looked flowy and delicate. Only thing different, her necklace. That big and gold. That was big and gold and seems like it'd be pretty heavy. Maybe she needed an anchor to stop herself from blowing away in the wind. I'm here. Welcome back, young lady. My, you even brought guests? Hello. Tamrock finally slipped her hand off the button she needed to wave. Hi, Omi. Hello, good to meet you. I'm Opal Sweet. This is my daughter, Taylor. The two of us recently moved in. We only arrived yesterday. Ah! Her voice was another frail thing about her, strained in a high-pitched exclamation. I thought that was you. I heard you were coming after all. That's why I swept up the porch and left the welcome mat. Oh, that was you? I appreciate the gesture. Yes, it was my little way of greeting the newcomers to our quiet street. You had known that Matt was out of place in front of the Warren house. Another mystery was solved. This time the culprit was Tamrock's family member rather than Tamrock herself. Miss Bauman chattered on like leaving people unexpected stuff was nothing normal. My name is Dorothea. Tamrock is my only granddaughter. Her father is my only son. And I do have a husband, Ernest. He's still alive, but I ought to introduce him to you myself. Lord knows he won't do it on his own. She pressed on top of her head she pressed the top of her hand to her forehead, craning back. The dangles of her necklace clanked against each other. Miss Bauman acted very tired. It was probably an act. You had to think so since she sounded so amused. It was like that. It was like having a hard time with how she was having a good time with. If you see a crotchety old man wandering about, that's him. Don't worry, he's not mean, even if he looks like it. Just remember that Mr. Bauman is more afraid of you than you are to him. It is good to meet both of you, Opal and Taylor. The last part of her introduction wasn't for you and Mom. It was just towards you. You can call me Granny. Nice to meet you, Granny. She smiled at you, wide and welcoming, meeting you, making getting a new granddaughter. Hi, Elmi. Hey, Elmi. Tamara cutted her into the conversation with a sharp grin and brows tight. She flapped one of her too long sleeves to draw even more attention. Taylor is my best friend. The announcement caught everyone by surprise, including you, the person it was about. Miss Bauman's eyes got way bigger than you thought they could with how they looked normally. Oh, I didn't know that. No, I forgot the other thing. Ah! Yesterday, she said shockingly, like her granny was silly for not being able to figure that out. Tamara really thought you were her best friend. Tamara was your friend, but you didn't know she was the best. You didn't know what to do. Your mom scrutinized the difference in expression between you and Tamara. She didn't mention anything about it, though. Miss Bauman was enthused as her granddaughter. Oh, please come inside. I insist. We need to get acquainted. No one could ever insisted that you see their house before unless what Tamara had said in school counted. You guess that's why Tamara was that confident about saying you could come over, and that's why she told you to do it instead of act. Her granny had the same attitude about people visiting. That would be lovely. Miss Bauman went deeper into the house, footsteps already echoing in the door, closed off space. Tamara bounded after her. Let's go, Taylor. You and Mom were following behind Tamara again, though this time it was her grandma who got to lead everyone. Mom shut the door after herself. The outside cold wasn't invited. Okay, I think I'm gonna go. Thank you guys for watching, and see ya! Join the Discord, exclamation point, Discord. Discord info. And I'll talk to you guys later.